Well, let's continue the conversation now, and we speak to non-profit organization, Local Abode founder and a proud partner of Jozi. That representative is Stephen du Preez, who sits in front of me tonight. Good evening to you, Steve.
Good evening.
Good to have you here. The President making it very clear that this is one of those moments that the country gets to experience once in a while. It'll take another 25 years before it comes back here. But let's start with the problems as you see them. What's wrong with the city of Johannesburg right now?
So it's a very interesting question, that, because it's not a simple answer.
Yeah.
You know, it's a multitude of problems, but we need to tackle them one at a time. Yeah. And we've got things like the potholes, street lights, traffic lights not working. Homelessness is quite a bad issue within the cities. And we've seen this before. We saw it with 2010, where there was the same panic about readiness and are we going to be ready? And we delivered a world-class event. Yeah. We had the same before the Ellis Park Test match last year against New Zealand. And again, we delivered a world-class event there. So while, yes, the President has every right to be concerned, it's funny, Joburg's a funny place. We rally together under pressure and we deliver when we need to.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that because he took a visit to the city of Johannesburg, and the understanding is that it happened on the 4th. Now, I'm trying to remember in my head which day it was, the 4th of March. And this was a night visit by the President to the city, where he was shown around by the Metro Police chief, who then went on social media to post pictures with the President looking at the city in the dead of night, provoking lots of reaction from people who were saying, no, Mr. President, go there during the day, see the city of Johannesburg for what it truly is. I take to heart what you are saying, that when push comes to shove, we do deliver. But right now, as things stand, do you think we can live up to the President's expectations that make us look good?
I think we'll actually exceed it, Koli, to be honest with you. And the reason is, for the first time in a long time, there's collaboration between private and public sector. It's not just the private sector standing one side, shouting and screaming and throwing their hands up and demanding that the city start delivering. They're actually rolling their sleeves up to make it happen. And it's because we all understand the importance of G20. We understand the significance that it has for the city. And we want to show off our city. You know, a lot of businesses have been built here. A lot of businesses will continue to be here even after G20. Politicians will come and go, but the private sector will remain. So it's our city. And that's what the private sector have decided through Jozi, is that we're not just going to stand back. We're going to take an active role to fix it.
You mentioned business. The President adds to that by saying, if we get things right, tourism is one of the sectors that stands to benefit hugely. In your view, just how ready are we in terms of places of accommodation, given the state of infrastructure? How ready are we to accommodate those visitors that may not necessarily want to stay in hotels? And I'm thinking Airbnbs here. I'm thinking your heritage sites, Vilakazi Street in Soweto, where two of South Africa's Nobel Prize laureates once stayed there. What's the state of those properties? Do you think that we can showcase that beautifully?
If we had to do it today, I'd probably say no. But we also understand that the G20 isn't only in November. There's all the events that lead up to G20, Y20, and the like. So from our point of view, there's a massive focus on the various parts of it, whether it be the access from the freeways into the Santons and the Rosebanks or the Sowetos. How do we get the lights working on the freeways so people that coming in can get that as a first impression? So we work quite closely with provincial government on that. Yeah. In terms of the actual readiness of the industry, I think they're ready to welcome the guests in. We have tourists all the time in Johannesburg. Yeah. It wouldn't be an unusual occurrence. We've had presidents come in before and dignitaries before. So I don't think it's not as though the hotel and the hospitality industry will fall flat if they arrive today. Getting them in and out might be the challenge, but that's where the focus comes in now, is how do we create that safe space where we can show off and showcase what the city has to offer.
What about crime? And I've just said that there are those that will say, I don't want to stay in a hotel. I want to experience South Africa. I want to experience Johannesburg and its people for what it truly is, only to possibly be mugged, the state of crime in the city. What's that like right now?
Like any city in the world, there's good parts and there's bad parts. And you take any major city in the world, there's parts that tourists will be advised not to go to, and there's parts that we're told that it's fine to walk around. Johannesburg inner city and surrounds is no different. We just need to be careful and make sure we get the right message across. But we're fortunate to have, we have the Premier's Green Army, who go out and patrol the streets on a daily basis in their droves. We've got a very active new Chief of Police in Metro Police, Chief Gaka, who's very, very good at what he does. Grew up in the inner city, knows the inner city, particularly the inner city side. So from that point of view, a lot of time, money and effort is being put into that. And from a Jozi My Jozi point of view, we've got a massive CCTV rollout that's going to be happening this year. We're replacing near on 7,000 streetlights over the next couple of months in the inner city with solar streetlights, just to make sure that we light up the city of gold. People can see it when they drive past, and it doesn't look like this dark, gloomy place.
Yeah. I'm winding down this conversation, Steve. What do you think it'll take to turn the inner city around? And I'm saying that with a thought at the back of my mind. So much muggings that we have seen on social media where people, an army of people, approach a person who's either on their phone and they're obviously unaware that they're being followed. And there's no way of escaping that. What will it take to make sure that those kinds of criminal activities are completely eradicated by the time that this event comes around?
So the clips that you're referring to were often taken of people being mugged in Small Street, which is a wonderful example of how private-public collaboration works. There we've got JMPD who patrol there, the property owners pay for private security in that space, and we haven't had muggings like that in months, in fact. So, the private sector, through the likes of Jozi My Jozi and the improvement districts, employ private security within that space, private cleaning, private security, as an additional to what the council offers in that space. The idea being that if a space is clean, generally the crime decreases. So a lot of effort is put into cleaning the space. And you'll know, you walk into a place that's well maintained and well cleaned, you immediately think someone's watching you. And we found that criminals don't like clean and well lit places. So we've got a very integrated approach in terms of security in the private sector, who work closely with SAPS and with JMPD to root those things out. Our camera network is already quite extensive in the inner city. So, if wanted vehicles drive into the inner city for various crimes anywhere in the country, it triggers our systems, and JMPD and SAPS are deployed, and they can see it. At the moment, JMPD have roughly 6,500 privately paid for CCTV cameras in public space fed to their IIOC.
Yeah.
So there's a very, very good chance if you're within the city of Johannesburg in the public streets, someone's watching.
Okay. As we close, why does it have to take a big event for government to stand up and say, we are now taking an active interest in making sure that the city is not only clean, but infrastructure is also improved, refurbished if it needs refurbishment? We've just spoken to my colleague who is in Cosmo City tonight. The complaint is that drainage system, when it rains, that is not working, which is why people's houses are being flooded. Why does it have to take a big event to sort things out?
So I think in fairness to the municipality, and we've got to be fair to them, the G20 has accelerated the desire and the need to fix the city, but we've started with the city almost 2 years ago already with our projects. So they realized 2 years ago already that they needed to invest in the inner city and fix the city as a whole. So they have partnered with Jozi My Jozi, and it's fortuitous that you have the Nelson Mandela Bridge behind us. Yeah, we lit that last year. We replaced all the lighting and fixed the glass paneling, and today we had high-pressure washing of the pavements. So the city have realized that work needed to be done. G20 has obviously accelerated that need and that requirement. But as I say, in fairness to them, we started this 2 years ago, starting to roll out the project. So they've known about what needed to be done, and they are already investing. So it's not just because of G20, it was in spite of G20, it was happening.
Stephen du Preez, appreciate your enthusiasm tonight, and it's good to talk positively about ourselves, because it is the complaint of the president sometimes that we talk ourselves to such a low point that will deter people from coming to our country, needless to say, our cities. So thank you very much tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you indeed. Stephen du Preez is the founder of Local Abode, and it is a proud partner, he says, of the organization Jozi. Goodbye, Jozi.